with the pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the agenda, under the consent agenda, the budget amendments should be 13 through 15. I'm quite sure. Our first order of business will be conducting a public hearing on the proposed local law number 1, 2016, entitled Senior and Disabled Citizens Real Property Partial Tax Exemptions. Would anybody like to speak to that matter? Anybody sign up?
Do we have anybody on the sign-up sheet?
Actually, I didn't bring a special one for the public hearing, but
Well, I think everybody who's in the room has come, has not left. I guess that's what I mean to say. If there's nobody that wishes to speak at the public hearing on the proposed local law, I will close the hearing. Do you have to have a vote on closing the hearing?
we don't usually.
Doesn't seem like.
No.
So then we will enter into privilege of the floor. Be limited to 3 minutes. And your statement should be made to the whole board. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to privilege of the floor? So we can move ahead to the consent agenda. Does anyone want anything pulled from the consent agenda?
No.
No. Does somebody want to read the audit claims for the record?
General fund vouchers. 139 to 172, dated May 11, 2016, in the amount of $45,980.84. Highway fund vouchers 77 to 85, dated May 11th, 2016, in the amount of $7,895.31. The town board authorizes the supervisor to pay. You need me to read the following accounts have negative balances as of?
What do you want, Alice?
No, you don't need to read
Okay.
those. Just so you're aware of them.
That's it then.
Any discussion? Did you note the changes that I recommended to the minutes? Alice?
You can enter them in here. I changed the one word that was the wrong tense under Mimi's comments. That was an error on my part. But I didn't make other changes.
You didn't make other changes?
I couldn't understand what needed to be changed, so I
You
did not make any
didn't
changes.
understand what needed to be changed.
Nothing appeared to me to be,
I recommended that on page (11) that it would make more sense if the second, no. It would make more sense if it said Supervisor Ryder stated that this part of the law is the administrative process. Administrative appeals may be in opposition to New York State or town law. And on page 12, at the bottom of the page, I recommended that town be a capital T. And on the first page, the word be changed to analyze.
I did make that change, yes.
Any other discussion? Call the vote.
Councilperson Carpenter?
Aye.
Councilperson Handstein?
Aye.
Councilperson Miles?
Aye.
Supervisor Ryder?
Aye.
Oh, you needed a second for your motion now.
Oh, second.
We'll move on to correspondence. It appears that April is a big month to write letters. Department of Public Service wrote a letter about a clean energy standard program. Public Service Commission mandates that by the year 2030, half the electricity used in the state will come from renewable resources such as solar, wind, and hydro. I guess it was the county that sent me this 21-page document. 22, 23, 24-page document on wind power, frequently asked questions, and noting that wind power is a critical part of implementing the Tompkins County Energy Roadmap. Ron Feldstein from Mega hopes municipalities will encourage community choice aggregation, which is a program in which municipalities aggregate local consumers and go to bid for energy supply. Also, Tompkins County sent me a personnel agency user training discussion. Tompkins County personnel invites you to a training discussion system for agency users designed to share information relative to our current online system, existing processes, and how to access a variety of information. Training session is held on Tuesday, May 17 at 1 o'clock in the town of Lansing, and again in the town board courtroom on Wednesday, May 18th at the village of Trumansburg. Please RSVP no later than May 13 if you want to go to this training session. NYSEG sent me a letter reminding municipal officials that safety is of paramount importance to us, and we would like to partner with you to ensure that your public works projects are completed safely. Here are some important steps you can take in planning public works projects. Contact NYSEG well in advance. Use only those contractors trained in underground utility damage. There's some more. Enclosed with an $11,000+ check from Tompkins County is this notice from Richard Snyder, Director of Finance for Tompkins County. We got the mortgage tax distribution. Overall in Tompkins County, that increased 50% last year. I didn't have time, I didn't get this until Monday. I didn't have time to figure out how much Enfield's increased. Department of Taxation and Finance. Assessors, supervisors, mayors, and managers. Well, this is about that final special franchise full value. So we got the full value on the franchises in the town. Hafley TV, Trumansburg Telephone Company, Verizon, and New York State Gas and Electric. And if somebody wants to explain it to the board, here's the deal. New York Public Interest Research Group is writing, they're planning to go door to door in Enfield doing some study. Oh, outreach. So Alice wrote him back a letter acknowledging receipt of this.
What study?
It's in your packet there, actually. It's 2 pages stapled together.
It does not leap out at me what the research,
It's just
the
2
outreach
pages.
is about. Does not leap out at me. Labella sent a letter regarding New York State 2016 consolidated funding application. And I didn't get this letter too long ago. And I'm not sure what I need to look this over. I need some of these back. There's the correspondence. So I guess, actually, Alice, this month I want all of these originals back.
Okay.
I guess we have no county legislator with us tonight. We do not have a highway superintendent with us tonight, but we have a code officer with us tonight.
For the month of April, I issued 9 permits, 2 are for new homes, which total of 19 for the year, including 4 new homes. There's 1 solar installation permit, which brings that total up to 4. I issued 7 certificates of completion, did a total of 27 inspections and progress checks. Received 2 complaints. They were both valid and investigated. 1 has been resolved and 1 is probably going to be ongoing for a while. Then I also installed 7 new house numbers. I have a request for a few more. It's that time of year, I put them off all winters.
Do you have to measure?
I installed the numbers, the green signs.
Oh, okay.
So I had a bunch of those to do and have some more to do.
It's already measured.
And as for existing houses, normally, people just
Oh.
request the green signs.
They request the green signs.
You can do that?
You can do that.
Thought you
And then the fire department can find you easier.
Yes.
It's a win-win.
It's
Yes.
mostly for the 911 systems and the reflector signs. The one bit of news I have is I got an email yesterday from Vernovus. They are looking to put the final solar farm in on Mecklenburg Road they have planned. It's going. The plant site is in back of Snug Planet. They said it'll be
On the opposite side of the road.
opposite side of the road.
That's what I thought.
And that will be about 5 times the size of the one they just installed. And that will max out the power lines in that section of the town.
in that section of the town,
Yep.
leaving only over there Iredale or Hates.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the three-phase power actually goes in town.
There's another,
One over there from Metro.
well, there's another area that can support.
Yeah, I know they've also installed one in Ulysses, so that may be on that sections.
So when that comes down, you can,
They did do the one in Ulysses?
I believe so.
Oh.
I don't know that we're working on two over there.
Okay.
One at their main shop and then one over on Agar Road, I believe.
Oh, okay. Heard something about that in the process, but
Yeah.
it's not my section.
Yeah, but I
Town,
heard
so-
that there was some concerns by the town.
Probably. It's Ulysses.
Well, yeah. But I never heard exactly where it was going to be,
This one, of course, still needs to run through the planning board for approvals.
because they're gonna disturb more than
Well,
half an acre or something.
That's what I have. Any questions? Okay.
And then in your packet, you have a supervisor's report. I went and met with Mr. Wright regarding the painting of the town hall, and I met with Norm Smith regarding the pre-paint repairs needed to the town hall. I attended the flood plan management training in Penn and met with Frank Pavia and Kathy Spencer regarding steps going forward in finalizing the EIS and doing a finding statement. We had a special meeting of the board regarding wind farm matters. I talked to the Albany DEC regarding a complaint they had received regarding the Black Oak Wind Farm doing excavation without a permit. State DEC found no violation of state laws or regulations. I conferred with the Ithaca City School District on the malfunctioning blinking light at the elementary school. They continue to think that I am responsible for this. The next time they called, 3 times an out. And I attended a retreat held by the Greater Tompkins County Health Consortium on how health insurance premiums are determined. And I voted on the logo for the Greater Tompkins County Health Consortium. And I helped arrange for the final well drilling for the aquifer study.
Where's that gonna be?
It has occurred, and the last site was, I think the street number might be 39 Enfield Main Road. It's kitty corner from the school. And the well drillers were very excited about the findings.
is that actually on town, or is that, isn't that?
No, that's private.
That's private?
They
That's
drilled the town wells last year.
That's that corner 40 acres that it's on?
Well, it's, when you go in the driveway at the highway building, they're on the right of the driveway,
Okay.
pretty far down in. Further than I would have liked, but that's where they wanted them. If we build a new town hall, it will be quite a long water line. But so I think this is, well, maybe we can do part committee reports and get a little closer to 7, because Virginia needs to be here. So, Michael, do you want to update us on anything of the wind Farm Advisory Committee, or?
I have not had another meeting. I was kind of doing a wait and see, because I know we're gonna be probably having special meetings with the EIS, so I didn't want to conflict with that. Especially giving people a little break, and,
Mhm.
but we
Well-
need to get back to working on the wind law.
Hmm.
So I will try to schedule another meeting of that.
Planning Board, Dan?
Well, we got one action coming up, as you just heard from Alan.
Mhm.
We didn't have any actions this month.
Hmm.
We did meet last week, and we're gonna be reviewing the site plan law and the subdivision law, I think. We're gonna go through it just to see if there's any concerns. One concern I have is that our threshold for commercial buildings may be a little bit high at 10,000 square feet.
A little bit too much before
I
it
think
kicks
it's
in.
too big a building, for, not too big a building to have in Enfield, but it's a big building to have as a commercial space without a site plan review, I believe. So we'll be preparing some recommendations for the town board in the next
To
couple
slightly
months.
modify that law.
Right.
that
I
exists
think
now.
a threshold of about 5,000 square feet might be appropriate. And because of this one proposal that's just under 10,000 square feet, happens to be on a very busy road at a area that there might be some hazards because of sight distance and speed, we may want to look at where things are cited too within the law. I'm not sure how we
Mhm.
handle that, but
So this is no longer a secret? This project is no longer a secret?
I don't know. We had an inquiry from someone about
At your public
laws.
meeting?
Well, no, the code enforcement officer had an inquiry, and I don't think that's confidential. When someone inquires about whether we have any regulations for site plans and potentially has to come before the planning board, I think it's an open thing.
And this is about a particular building?
This is a
It's a
project,
particular lot.
commercial project.
Commercial project on Mecklenburg Road, just west of Dandy Bar,
West of,
the Dandy Bar.
oh, okay.
Not on their property, but. it's on their
Contiguous.
property.
Right.
My apologies for being late.
Have to keep the
Can I ask you a
paycheck.
quick question?
What?
Have to keep the paycheck coming.
I know we don't have the solar law in place yet, and it
Mhm.
sounds like we'll be getting close to being maxed out before we do get it in place. One of the things I wondered about, when you do what you do though with the planning board, is there any thought about, or do we have any say at all in the process of how they keep grass down around the systems? Is that something we have any say
Well, we
in?
do ask them about that,
Right.
and we do have to do a seeker on that, so we review
Right,
the runoff potential. If they were to pave the whole area, they'd have more of an issue.
right,
Generally, they're coming in because they're over an acre in size and they're disturbing an acre. And I've taken the interpretation that it may not be one building of 10,000 square feet, but there's more than 10,000 square feet of panels. So
Right.
that's how we're.
right, yeah.
addressing it.
I'm just, they don't have to do, well, they don't have to do a long-range plan in relation to how they do things like landscaping and,
We do ask them how they plan to maintain underneath it.
right,
I mean, they don't want trees growing up between the panels, of course. And most of the sites are vegetating it with a low-growing grass mix.
right. I guess my concern was the one project I was reading about was very Roundup friendly, and basically they were just spreading Roundup through the whole area and just killing everything and just saying, well, that was a great way to deal with it. And I wondered if, in the future, we, as a town, want to have some kind of thought about whether
We
we're
could-
dealing with those kind of things as well.
We do ask the question whether there's going to be herbicides and pesticides applied.
Right.
I usually answer no.
Right, yeah. It just seems like that's coming for the future,
Right.
maybe not
Well,
there yet.
I
but-
don't want to encourage pesticide or herbicide use.
Right.
I mean, farmers, but
Right,
with
yeah.
restrictions.
Right.
So-
And if they don't, if they don't maintain a vegetative cover under the panels, then their runoff is going to be increased and they're going to have to deal with stormwater
Right.
management issues.
Right, then they get into that.
If
So
if
that's
they
different.
maintain a good vegetative cover, they don't have
Yeah.
any impact on stormwater.
That makes sense, yeah, yeah. Great, thanks.
Yeah.
We're having a presentation regarding the Recreation Partnership last month, and they haven't met next month, and they haven't met lately, so you will get an update next month. Did the fire company send something?
Yes, they did. Total calls for April were 26, EMS calls 20, MVAs 2, 1 service call for traffic control for a funeral, 1 fire, 2 hazardous conditions. The trainings will be hose, rolls, and lays, fire training, park and fire police training at Treman Park. A blood drive will be held May 17th. And Lucas Van D passed his firefighter 1 course.
Has anything fallen down this month, Mike?
No, we didn't get anything from you guys yet, right? From Labella?
Well, we submitted a
Yes,
report.
yes,
We
and
were-
I'll,
We were prepared to talk about tonight, but
yeah,
it
but,
wasn't room on the agenda, apparently.
right. I will bring you up to speed on that.
Okay, well, are
Later.
you gonna distribute it around, or what were you planning?
After I get a lawyer's opinion, I will
Okay.
decide on that.
Gotcha.
I forgot to go to TCAG meeting last week, or 2 weeks ago, so. All right, we're down to old business, so now we will go back and have our closed session with the town attorneys, which I'm planning to have 25 minutes.
I think you need to have a motion to move into a session.
I move that we move into a closed session.
A second.
Call the vote.
Councilperson Bryant?
Aye.
Councilperson Carpenter?
Aye.
Councilperson Handstein?
Aye.
Councilperson Miles?
Aye.
Supervisor Ryder?
Aye. And you need to come to this, Alice.
Where are we going?
We're going to Alice. It was of utmost importance to the board and ongoing process. So thank you for patience.
I got new numbers.
We'll resume with old business. Cleanup days, I guess there is a notice in the town hall. Does anyone know of any other advertising that is being done or should be done? Okay. And Virginia is away for a while, a minute or two. Did you, Alice, did you agree with my numbering of the budget amendments?
We had used 12, so 13 would be the next one.
Did you agree with my numbering of the resolutions?
Number 49 would be the next one.
Okay. I believe Virginia was going to research the grant, so maybe we could skip to to new business. Last month, there was a proposed adoption of a local law. It would be local law number 1 of 2016, entitled Senior and Disabled Citizens Real Property Partial Tax Exemptions. You were given a copy of this proposed law last month. It is also, I believe, included in tonight's resolution. And I would move that we pass resolution number
2016-49.
49, I think. Is there a second on this?
Second.
There was a public hearing held tonight. No one wished to speak at the public hearing. I don't know whether there's other information that you would like to bring to the conversation tonight, to the discussion.
I have a question on the income qualifications. This is adjusted gross income combined? or-
That's a question to ask Jay. I am not familiar with the application form that the assessment office has.
What
Now,
was the
you
question?
ask a question about that.
We did talk about
We
that.
talked about this last
Yeah,
month.
yeah.
And it wasn't a straightforward answer. It was based on the adjusted gross income plus other modifications. It was a calculation that his office goes through.
But this would be combined income for one household though, right?
It's combined income for husband and wife. It's owners of the property. Basically, if you own the property and live in it, it's your house, and your kids live there and they have income. Your kids' income wouldn't be included in that. That was my understanding from what you said. But if you file a joint tax return, then
But-
the joint tax return, both incomes would be in the joint. and that
So
would cover
domestic
the-
partners, whether married or not, that includes them?
Anything that's in a
It's-
joint tax return.
Okay.
Because that's what they use as the
All right.
tax return.
And they have to be owners of the land, or the property,
Well, if the property is owned by
just one.
Mrs. XV and they file a joint tax return,
Tax-
it sounded what Jay was saying was that joint tax return would be what the money amount was used to gauge whether, even though Mr. XV was not necessarily the owner of that property.
Yeah, this actually came up in the March meeting, and I asked questions, and you brought Jay in for the April meeting, and he answered these questions. Because it wasn't clear.
That's my recollection without reading the minutes. Is there other discussion?
Did we want to read the resolution?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I can,
Michael, how's your reading voice?
I guess it's my turn. Resolution number 2016-49, whereas a public hearing was held on May 11, 2016 to hear comments from the public regarding proposed local law number 1 of 2016 entitled Senior and Disabled Citizens Real Property Partial Tax Exemptions. And whereas the board has heard a presentation from County Assessment Assistant Director Jay Franklin and has had an opportunity to ask Jay questions and express concerns they may have, now therefore be it resolved that proposed local law number 1 of 2016 as set forth below be enacted to take effect immediately, and the town clerk is directed to file a certified copy with the state.
And the local law, you better read through that too. That's attached.
Senior and disabled citizens' real property partial tax exemptions. Section 1, repealer and effective date. All prior local laws, ordinances, resolutions, and other prior legislation of the town of Enfield relating to senior citizen and disabled citizen tax exemptions as allowed under and pursuant to the authority granted to the town of Enfield as a taxing authority by and through the New York State Real Property Tax Law, Section 467, be and thereby are repealed and superseded hereby in the event of any irreconcilable conflict between this local law and the New York State Real Property Tax Law. Such state statute shall govern. This local law shall take effect immediately upon adoption. Section 2. Authority and purposes. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 467 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York, real property located in the town of Enfield, County of Tompkins, owned by one or more persons, each of whom is 65 years of age or over, or real property owned by husband and wife, one of whom is 65 years of age and over, or real property owned by persons with disabilities, shall be partially exempt from taxation by said town of Enfield for the applicable taxes specified in Section 467, based upon the qualifications and income of the owner, or the combined income of the owners pursuant to provisions of the local law as set forth herewithin. Section 3, exemption table. Such partial exemption shall be to the extent set forth in the following schedule. Percentage of assessed valuation of property subject to exemption. Up to $24,000, 50%, more than $24,001 but less than $24,999, 45%, more than $25,000 but less than $25,999, 40%, more than $26,000 but less than $26,999, 35%, more than $27,000 but less than $27,899, 30%, more than $27,900 but less than $28,799, 25%, more than 28. It gets better.
It's got a ways to go here.
More than 28,800, but less than 26,699, 20%. More than 29,700, but less than 30,599, 15%. More than 30,600, but less than 31,499, 10%. More than 31,500, but less than 32,399, 5%.
Want me to do section 4 on?
Sure.
Section 4, qualifications. The partial exemption provided by this local law shall be limited to such property and persons that as meet the conditions, qualifications, exclusions, and limitations as set forth in Statute 467 of the Real Property Law of the State of New York. This local law shall be administered in accordance with the Real Property Tax Law as now adopted and as may be amended from time to time. Section 5, application procedures. Applications for such exemptions must be made by the owner or all owners of the property on forms prescribed by New York State as furnished by and to the Tompkins County Assessment Department. All said owners shall furnish such the required information and execute the forms in the manner required by in such forms. Such completed forms shall be filed in the Tompkins County Assessment Department's office on or before the appropriate date applicable or required taxable status date. Section 6, false statements and penalties. In addition to any other provision of law generally or in the New York State penal law specifically, any willfully false statement made in or in relation to any application for an exemption shall also be punishable by a civil penalty of not more than $500 to be recovered by the town in a civil action. For purposes of this local law, the Justice Court of the town of Enfield is hereby vested and imbued with the jurisdiction to hear and adjudicate allegations relating to the civil violation of this local law. In addition, letter I, making any willful or false statement in connection with any applications for an exemption shall disqualify the applicants from seeking any of the exemptions provided by this local law for a period of 5 years. And two, the making of any false statement in connection with any application for an exemption may disqualify the applicants from seeking any such exemption for a period of 5 years. Such determinations shall be reasonably made and without creating any right of review or action that does not already exist in law or equity. Such determination may be subject to review under Article 78 of the Civil Practice Laws and Rules. Nothing herein precludes the imposition of other actions, determinations, penalties, losses, or sanctions from other governmental agencies arising from or in relation to the making or transmittal of any false information in or in relation to any application, and no remedy or penalty specified in this local law shall be the exclusive remedy available to address any violation of or non-compliance with the requirements of this local law. Section 7, effective tax years and amendments. This local law shall apply to each of the several next successive tax years. The exemption levels for this local law may be updated by the town of Enfield by amending the tables or schedules of this local law in any manner as allowed by law.
So this, we can amend just the table without going through the passing of a new local law, I believe. So it's,
That's what it states to me.
so it's a little, this was originally passed in 92, I believe, and hasn't been updated since then. It was 1990, and it probably should have been revisited sooner, but this does make it a little less onerous to review it in more timely manners.
Do we have a motion?
Didn't we have a motion?
Mhm.
And you seconded?
I think
It was
Henry
seconded.
did.
Yeah. Other discussion? Call the vote?
Councilperson Bryant?
Aye.
Councilperson Carpenter?
Aye.
Councilperson Handstein?
Aye.
Councilperson Miles?
Aye.
Supervisor Ryder?
I will send a copy to Betty for her information.
Yeah, because she's the,
Judge,
yeah.
yes, who knows? Someone may lie. I think this might, Virginia, did you have a chance to check on the USDA grant? for
No,
new-
I didn't,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I'll make that a point.
Okay. And perhaps now would be the time to introduce a motion regarding last month's motion.
Sure. Do we know the resolution number?
Our resolution number would be 50.
Well,
Oh, of last month's, you
month.
mean?
Yeah.
No, it was a motion, it was not a resolution.
No, resolution, sorry.
I'm quite positive.
Okay.
You want to look, Alice?
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that's the right things.
It was just a motion. It's on page 9 of the minutes, just a motion. At the bottom of page 9 and the top. Would you like me to read it, or?
Sure.
um, that, it was moved and seconded that all communications between the Enfield Town Board, Labella Associates, Frank Pavia of Harris Beach, and the Black Oak Wind Farm be public, with the town board copied on all communications, and they will be made public.
I make a resolution
Could you read that once more?
Sure. There was a motion made that all communications between the Enfield Town Board, Labella Associates, Frank Pavia of Harris Beach, and the Black Oak Wind Farm be public, with the town board copied on all communications, and they will be made public.
My understanding was that those communications are public, from what Kai said.
Yeah, but it includes lawyer.
Only communications that include Black Oak.
I think it's a way you can read it different ways, maybe.
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to rescind that motion.
Yeah.
Well, and that's fine. I think the issue is that I think that's already true. I don't think you have to make a motion for that, because I think that's already true. That is already public.
But the lawyers didn't like it.
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
do
I-
not-
The lawyers
I
didn't
think-
like it.
I think we need to.
No.
I
It's
think
what
we
Guy
need to
said. He said
I
that
think we need to
that
clarify
information is actually already public.
Yeah.
That's what he said right at the end of the conversation, is that information is already public.
I forwarded to the board and to both the attorneys the wording from the minutes.
Right.
I heard in the closed session that we should rescind that motion.
I did too, but the fact is, I don't think we really talked about the issue that needed to be talked about. I think we talked at cross purposes to that issue. And if it was me, I would want to, not that it's a problem to rescind that, because I think it's irrelevant whether we make that motion or not. I think it's already true. But in the interest of being accurate and actually figuring out what's going on and what we're doing, I think we should be going back to Guy probably, or Frank and Guy, and saying, if you really read this, let's understand what it's really saying so that we understand what's really going on here. For me, you can change one word in a 1,000-word document and it means something entirely different. I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing, that's all. And from the reading of this, I get the understanding, what Alice just wrote, what Alice just read, was exactly the last thing that Frank said. He said, this communication is already open to the public. That's what he said, and the last thing he said about it.
We have a motion on the floor, do we not?
Well, I'm
A
not clear,
motion was-
no. I think we need to.
I stopped Michael. Virginia made a motion that
Okay,
just
so
said,
Virginia's going to go
It
with
has
the
a
and
motion.
you'd have to
Okay.
have her repeated, I think, maybe.
Okay.
I want, I rescind, what do I say? I move that we rescind the motion that we passed late at the last meeting. I'm not proposing that, whatever's been out there now, that we're rescinding, obviously we don't rescind that, that's there. But from what I got from the lawyer's advice is that we rescind that motion because it violates lawyer-client privilege. It doesn't mean that we're going underground or undercover. Anyway, that's enough of that, but I move that we rescind that motion.
Is there a second to that motion?
Seconded.
This in no way addresses how we are going to go forward.
No.
It doesn't. My concern is that we should take this into advisement when we go forward and understand more clearly what we're doing.
I got the feeling tonight in our closed session that we certainly will take it under advisement and we'll get more advisement. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, my off-the-cuff resolution was well-intentioned, but the mechanism for doing what my intention wasn't the right thing. And I think we need to rescind whatever it is we did and then work towards making sure that
We do it right.
We do it right.
Yeah,
Yes,
have the right mechanism in place to do
Yes.
that.
exactly.
which will take some time and some back and forth,
That's good. That's
Right.
what we're here for.
right? Is there other discussion on this motion? Call the vote?
Councilperson Bryant?
Aye.
Councilperson Carpenter?
Aye.
Councilperson Handstein?
Aye.
Councilperson Miles?
Aye.
Supervisor Ryder?
Aye. Um, I do think that we ought to work on this prior to a whole month going by. And there are some other things that we need to discuss. I don't know if we need to act on them, but we need to discuss the decommissioning plan and the road use agreement. And I believe that we need another special meeting. So would we like to discuss that now, or when would be good for these board members, or I'll call a special meeting?
Let me just define a little more clearly what we're talking about, so I know. One of the issues will be a better understanding of what Michael was trying to accomplish with his first motion. And that's in relation to how we're going to develop that process in a way that is comfortable for the board. Hopefully will give the town residents what Michael was trying to give them, and hopefully also be in keeping with what Guy and Frank Bobby were saying. Will we want to discuss that in this next meeting, or did we decide that we were gonna ask Guy to develop that and then send that to us? And if it was the second, then do we wanna make sure that Guy understands that if we're gonna have that, if we're gonna have a meeting to discuss it, to make sure that he gets us that draft resolution before we have the meeting, so we have it in place.
My understanding was that we need to decide, give him some, he can write it, but we need to give him some direction
Yeah.
on what we want.
Yeah, my
And we need to
understanding,
discuss that.
my understanding was that he was
Yeah.
gonna write it, and then we were gonna give him direction based on what he wrote, so we had a document to start with. But if not, if we wanna get him information before he writes it, then we would seemingly wanna have a meeting first, develop that information package, get that to him, and then let him write it. So I'm wondering about time-wise or function-wise, which we wanna do. And if we wanna do that first, then this meeting would be an ideal place to discuss that, certainly. I'm just trying to understand the process and where we're going.
Well,
Yeah.
I am quite confident that Guy is going to produce a draft out of that meeting that would
Without
be,
our input.
that would be available to us
And I think it would be quicker to
within
go that way.
days. And
could tear
I
it
think
apart.
it's quite safe if we planned a special meeting for next Wednesday, we would have plenty to talk about. We would have that draft, and if you don't like it, input, and also these other subjects.
Right, so let me go on to the next one then. With the decommissioning plan, do we have a revised decommissioning plan from Black Oak at this point?
No.
So we'll just be discussing
I have given you the most recent papers I have.
the one we got last month, basically.
Well, I can't remember when I gave it to you.
It's in the packet here somewhere.
I can't
Not today's
remember.
package,
Oh, that's a different
That
folder.
was a different one? or-
That's a different.
Well, there was information about decommissioning plans, but that wasn't from Black
Oh,
Oak.
okay. maybe.
That was from people that have
Oh.
done studies of decommissioning.
Oh, okay, that's probably what I remember
This
seeing.
one here.
Probably what I remember seeing. Oh.
This
yeah.
is not their
That-
plan, this
Sorry,
is-
that must have been what I was
No.
looking at.
So
National one more.
I wonder, in preparation then for this special meeting that we're gonna have,
Right. I don't know.
do we want to just plan on making recommendations to Black Oak in terms of what changes we would like to see in
Well,
the decommissioning plan?
I have not had a chance to, thank you, investigate other, as much as I wanted, but another week would give me that ability.
I'm just wondering what the outcome is we'd like to get out of this special meeting in terms of decommissioning plan. Do we want to try to get a revised, are we going to give them back what we think it should be? Are we going to make comments on theirs? What procedure will we be doing? So I can do preparation myself in order for this meeting to be ready.
What's the problem with the existing plan?
Well, we had discussions about it when it was first presented to us, and there were definitely some issues that a number of people, at least I remember myself, taking exception to some issues.
I think
It
they're in
seemed
the,
like-
in the minutes.
It seemed there were some other people that took exception to a few aspects of it as well. And it's not so much that what's the problem, it's that I thought it needed to be much more complete. I thought there were aspects of it that were inconsistent with some of the things that I thought should be in there. I thought there were things that, mostly incomplete, I guess.
And that's something we address now and not as part of the final.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if it's incomplete and we want Black Oak to put more information in it, then we have to have some way of telling them, we want more information in your decommissioning plan. And certainly a meeting that we had when we went over the decommissioning plan and said, here's what we'd like, or maybe we went over the decommissioning plan and I said, here's what I'd like, and everybody said, no, go away. And maybe we just give it back to them and say it looks good like this, or maybe we even vote on it at the next meeting.
Well, I guess I'd like to, maybe it's totally inappropriate, but if you've got problems and, you send a bulleted email to board members so we can look at it, at least we know where somebody's coming from.
Well, we talked about them last meeting when we had the thing. We brought a number of them up at the time.
I don't have the minutes from last meeting, unfortunately.
And I forgot to
I
do
know.
that for you.
That's all
But,
right.
well, as I say, I did not have enough time to investigate this with everything else that has gone on from this last meeting.
Right.
I have got notes to myself of people to talk to in other municipalities and how this goes.
Yeah, all I'm really trying to do is expand on your agenda and say, okay, if we're gonna do this, I would like to understand better what it is we're going to do in relation to this, so I know what
Gee, I
information
guess I
to bring.
can't preempt what we're gonna,
Well,
I can't guess what we're gonna do.
you don't think we would wanna talk about the plan and
I've
possibly-
already stated that would be the subject of the special meeting.
Right, but
The
you inter-
decommissioning plan and the road use
Right,
plan.
but you interrupted what I was saying just then. I said that we're gonna talk about the plan and possibly make revisions to it that we would like to see Black Oak to do, and then get those revisions to Black Oak. If I was Black Oak and I saw that on the meeting agenda that said, we're gonna talk about this plan and we're gonna talk about revisions or additions that we would like to see to the decommissioning plan, I would wanna make sure that I came to that meeting. And, one of the things that one of the residents of the town wrote in a letter to us was that they thought it would be much more helpful if we could be a little bit more forthcoming with our agenda items in a timely manner, and also maybe a little more complete in terms of what the agendas are gonna include in them, because it would be helpful for the residents to know what's gonna be dealt with in a certain situation, especially if it's not on the agenda at all, that's issued ahead of time, and then they come to the meeting and this is an issue that's being done and they didn't know, they're not really ready for it. And it would be, it would be appropriate for the town residents to have that information.
I guess I thought that's what I was trying to provide them with.
Well, I think it is. This is just a way of being more complete in terms of what we're providing them. And by saying that we're gonna look at the decommissioning plan and possibly do some revisions or some advice on it.
So
as
you
far
want
as
a
what we-
paragraph?
If I was a town resident, if I was a Black Oak person that was running this thing, I would love to see an agenda item that said, we're gonna discuss the decommissioning plan and think about different aspects of it, so that we know where to go with it. That would really be helpful for me in the situation. Not saying we have to do that, but to make it work better, to make meetings work better. Typically, when you bring 17 people together for a meeting, and you have an agenda, they know ahead of time what the aspects of the agenda are, so they can bring their own expertise to it. I'm just saying that we could be a little more complete and a little more thorough in terms of how we're developing it. And I was just asking if we could just understand, at least for myself, better, if we plan on looking at this decommissioning plan in relation to up or down, yes or no, or if we plan on actually going into it and delving into it, possibly looking at some additions we want to put, possibly looking at some aspects of it.
So you should, so, correct me if I'm wrong, you would expect to see an agenda, or at least a draft agenda go out on the Enfield town website at least a week ahead of time?
It's another issue, and it's not that I would expect to, I would hope to, I would be happy to. But the issue for me is personal rather than residential. Personally, for me to do a good discussion of this, just like Anna's saying, she needs to get up to speed on it. I want to get up to speed on it too and make sure that I know what we're talking about, and so I'm really clear about it. And maybe make a list ahead of time of all the things that I felt were appropriate. I'm just trying to expand on my understanding of what it is we're gonna do in this meeting so I can be better prepared.
Well, I'm not trying to challenge you, because I know, the other place I work, we try to get the agenda out at least a week before the meeting. So at least they have some idea of what they have to prepare to discuss.
Okay.
And, that's just the basic agenda. If that, and we all have our personal timelines and stuff, I certainly do. I don't expect, and we have a lot of things going on, but if that's an expectation, is that something that's possible? I'm not asking you as an adversary, I'm saying.
Under the current situation, it's not possible for me. I
Okay,
don't get
I
the minutes.
understand.
I have to get the minutes 1 week after the meeting in order to
Okay,
help that along.
okay. That's,
So let me-
I'm not putting that out as any challenge. I'm just saying that that's, where are we at? Because, getting a day before is pretty short notice.
Well, right, but I am here to tell you I've had a lot of fires to put out in the last 10 days.
Let me-
And totally get it.
Let me go into the third issue then, and you did mention we would talk about the road use agreement at this special meeting?
That was my suggestion.
Okay. The last time we did a meeting where we brought up the road use agreement, we actually brought up that agreement, I think, very late in the meeting when everybody was really tired and worn out.
I think I got a latest,
Oh.
I think I got the latest copy of it.
We
I
talked,
don't have it.
we talked to Dan about it, and Dan was going to try and talk to Buddy about the road use agreement and get Buddy's take on it. So if we're going to talk about the road use agreement in the special meeting, I would think it would really be beneficial to have either Dan with his understanding of Buddy's comments or feelings about it, or Buddy himself come to the meeting and make sure that they were there, so we could have that input at the meeting as well, because I think with that particular part of it, just us as a board talking about it without the input from Dan and from Buddy, I think is not gonna
It's a
be anywhere near.
I
as
totally
good.
agree with
Yeah,
you. It's a
so-
backhand.
I
But-
totally agree.
So I'd like to make sure, if we do a special meeting, we could try and make sure that either Dan or Buddy or both are there.
It would be my total intent to have some preliminary discussion done before the meeting.
Right.
Yes, that would be absolutely my wish, hope, intent.
Right, and bring them to the meeting too, right? And bring that information to the meeting as well,
I certainly would bring it to the meeting.
right?
I
Well, I
certainly
mean,
would.
to the point where, preliminary
That was
discussion,
the only reason I suggested it.
yeah, preliminary
Because in one-
discussions are.
One more meeting, or in one more week, I would be able to much more gather that information.
Preliminary discussions are great, but we may wind up with questions that the board has about the road use agreement as well during the meeting itself. So if we had either Dan or Buddy or both there at the meeting itself, that would be even more beneficial, I think, because that way we could follow through with the information.
I will try. I do not foresee that either or any of these items would be voted on at one more meeting.
Right,
It would take many more than one more meeting to
right,
come to a vote.
right.
This
And-
would be a working meeting.
And what I would like to do is just bring as much information to the meeting as we could.
I would hope.
So we could
I would
discuss
hope.
it with knowledge.
I would hope. Is next Wednesday acceptable to majority of people?
Fine with me.
6:30 or 7?
7's more comfortable. We don't, yeah. 7 more comfortable.
7, or
Okay.
And the date is?
Next
I'm
Wednesday.
afraid I'm gonna get
11/18.
I'm just afraid I'm gonna get arrested.
So there will be a special Enfield Town Board meeting convening at this location at 7 PM on May 18, 2016.
Thank you.
And then the last item, in light of what one of our attorneys just told me, I have no idea whether you want to do some preliminary work on this or not do anything.
Well, what he didn't say was what happens if you just don't need to use that override. He said you shouldn't.
If you don't, I know the answer to that
Okay,
question. If you do not exceed the 2% limit, you rescind the law before the end of the year.
You have to rescind it.
You have to rescind it.
Gotcha, good.
You have to rescind it to please the comptroller's office, I
And
believe.
what's the timing on passing this local law in terms of when it has to be done by?
It has to be done prior to the acceptance of the 2017 budget.
So we have how much time? September
Uh,
30th?
Several months.
November 22nd,
Oh,
or thereabouts, maybe it's the 21st. My peers suggest that this be done early in the year, so that budget discussions do not get inflamed by this local law procedure.
And how do you feel about that now in relation to what Guy said?
I think we should start on the process, and I'll investigate a little bit on the reality of them really imposing a fine. On the other hand, if the reality is, it's not necessarily a 2%. It could be 1.8, it could be 1.5, and I'm not sure realistically whether we can come in under the tax cap that is assigned to us.
Fine.
what is assigned to us? Do you
The
know?
tax cap number is assigned to us, it's not 2%. It's
Yeah.
whatever they assign to us. In some municipalities, it's 2.8, and I think I've heard about one that's 3.1. And it's based on this formula that I absolutely have never investigated, because I can't change the formula. And it's sent to us by
When
the
you-
comptroller's
We don't know
office.
yet?
When you say start the process, what would that mean then?
Well, it's a local law, so you have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
You do not have to pass the law. Now, what we did tonight was, we set the public hearing last month, we had the public hearing. You can enact a local law immediately after the public hearing. There is no time, waiting
Or-
10 days or,
Or how far can you wait after the public hearing?
oh, I never asked that question.
So if we had the public hearing next month and waited 4 months to enact the law, is that
I never
okay?
asked that question.
Does that seem like we should find out, or what do you think?
No, I think we should have the public hearing, and if you have to pass the law within 2 months, then we do that. If you have 4 months, or you never have to pass the law, then we do that. I mean, I think they're two separate issues myself.
Should we wait to find out how long we can wait after the public hearing to actually pass the law before we
know
make
that.
the public hearing?
I know that.
No, how long we can wait, not the short. amount of
Yeah,
time.
that's what I thought your question was.
Well, my question was, should we wait and find out how long we can wait to pass the law
Oh.
after the public hearing?
I say no, but I'll put it off. I'll put it off. July, no, but everybody will be off swimming.
Not me.
My only concern is that if you find that there is an issue with rescinding and that we're likely to be fined, and we can't wait more than, let's say, one meeting or 1 month, then we might want to have some consideration of whether we actually want to pass the law right away or wait till later. And we might want to wait to have the public hearing till later.
I don't understand, but it's not. So the question is, how long do we have after a public hearing to actually pass a local law? That's the question you want answered.
Or I should say to vote on the local law, not pass it.
Huh?
To vote on the law.
Oh, yeah, right, thank you.
It presumes that we're gonna pass it.
Okay. Cleanup days are, Alice, can you reel that off?
No,
No, can't reel it off.
can look in the minutes of last month.
Look in the minutes.
June 7 to 11, hours Tuesday through Friday from 12 to 5, and Saturday from 7 to 12.
At the new town highway facility. Do anybody else have another announcement? Any other announcements? I gave you some reading material tonight,
You did, good. Thank you.
and we'll meet back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Can you stay a moment?
Don't dare get home too early.
It would be unlikely, wouldn't it? Unseemly. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do we need to pass the things we signed there?
We did.
Oh, we did, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, well,
Sorry, I was-
we had a quorum.
Okay, good. Sorry, I was.
Commissioning. I started